Pass us over to you.
He's the rock legend with a voice like a flash of lightning and tunes catchier than a mackerel on a fisherman's hook. His new album, Dream Into It, is out now and his world tour continues next week. So please welcome an idol who's anything but idle. It's the brilliant Billy Idol!
Let's hear it for Billy Idol, everybody! Okay. Billy, good morning. Welcome back.
Cheers, thank you. It's nice to be here, everybody. Yeah, fantastic. Doing well.
It is new album time. How exciting. Dream Into It, as you know, because I've already told you, I love it, man.
Great.
I love it. There's been EPs in the last 10 years, but this is the first album for a good while. Tell us about that. How did it happen? Where did you record it? What does it mean to you? Give us all the juice first on the album.
Yeah, well, by doing the EPs, we did a couple of EPs in 21 and 22, the Cage and Roadside EPs. We were kind of building up to doing this album. We were sort of finding people to work with. We didn't really have a producer or anything for a while, a set producer. And then we gradually, through doing the EPs, we worked out that Tommy English was a great guy to work with. And yeah, it just went really well. And yeah, we got what we were looking for, a killer album that was fun, you know. Like
it is fun, and it's fun because it's so honest.
Yeah, just had to go there. I was sort of bouncing off a documentary that's coming out, Billy Idol Should Be Dead, it's called. And so I was kind of just bouncing off that because I was going around to sort of old places like the Punk Club in the Roxy in Covent Garden and the 100 Club, and just think, you know, even talking to my mother about the past, you know, as what happened, you know, and stuff, and the relationship with my dad. It's all in this documentary, but it's also in this album as well. That's kind of what I did. I just bounced off the documentary lyrically, and so it ended up being a little bit of a journey through my life, from the past through to present day, you know.
Which is why it's so gripping. So I moved heaven and earth yesterday to try and get a copy of the documentary because it's not out yet. I know it's played at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Yes.
And I know it went down really, really well. And I'm guessing, well, you've just confirmed it, this album is a companion piece to the documentary.
It is really, yeah.
Because it sounds, I was going to say it reads, but it's not a book. So it hears, it's not even a phrase, it hears like an autobiography, this album.
Yeah, and then I could have, obviously I could have like sequenced the album like usually, you know, you put like a really up tempo song first, and then, you know, whatever, you know. But with this album, I just thought, well, you know, the people out there, they're going to do their own sequence, but I'm going to put it in the order of lyrically how it tells a story in a way, you know, tells my story.
Death has been a theme on the show this week. I'm not joking. Right, so here we go. So Bear Grylls comes on the show. He's just rewritten a really dramatic retelling of the New Testament, which is brilliant. He's written it like a thriller.
Wow.
Right, it's amazing. So that's the birth, the death, and the resurrection of Christ. Yesterday we had Jeremy Renner on the show, the actor, who did die in 2023 in Los Angeles. You know about this
accident.
Yeah, he ran over himself on his snowcat, and he did scientifically he did die. And your album, your documentary is called Billy Idol Should Be Dead. Have you come close?
A few times, yeah.
I know you can't really talk about those instances, particularly on a live breakfast show. But, I mean, can you give us a sense of what happened?
Yeah, one time I was coming back from America with Rebel Yell, you know, with Eyes Without a Face and everything, and the album. And then the night before, I kind of did a little bit too much of something.
Of everything,
And it was close to, but the next day I was on Top of the Pops and doing Eyes Without a Face. I looked great, so somehow, I don't know how I did that, but so a few times I've been a bit close in the motorcycle accident and stuff like that, you know.
Right, and so you left nothing on the pitch, or you took nothing back to the dressing room afterwards. I mean, you have lived several lifetimes, haven't you? And you make no apology for that. And well, you make a semi-apology for it, I suppose.
Oh yeah, semi. Yes.
Yeah, in the album. Your fame is because when we said you were coming on the show, and you've been on the show before, and thank you for always coming to see us. Your fame is unique. There is not another artist like you. You know, in the day, in the 80s, the three most famous artists of the time were Michael Jackson, Madonna, and you know, and you were completely different to the other two. And you said something...
And Prince.
Yeah, Prince as well. But he was a little bit later. You said on Drew Barrymore's show, because I watched it yesterday, you said your music, she agreed with you. Your music, it doesn't age, and it really doesn't age. So we played 6 of your songs today between 8 and 8:30. White Wedding, Rebel Yell, Dancing with Yourself, etc., etc. They sound like they could have been recorded yesterday. Back in the day, in 83, 84, 85, when they first came out, they sounded futuristic.
Wow.
And I wonder if that's how come they're timeless now, because they sounded like they were from the future when they were actually current. Does any of that make sense to you?
Well, we really did try to go out of our way. Keith Forsey in particular, my producer back then, we really went out of our way not to have certain sounds that were too 80s. We really watched out. We tried to go for classic kind of sounds. I think it paid off.
The big time. And you also said to Drew, you said, you know a hit when you hear one. And your songs are big old bangers, aren't they?
Yeah, I was lucky enough I had a few, and it's true. When we're doing them, it's true. They don't feel. I was saying to Steve at the Tribeca premiere of "Should Be Dead," the songs just don't get old. Performing them doesn't get old. That I would have thought. I just would have thought they would have, but they don't seem to get old. That's what's amazing. It's always fun.
And when you heard those, like you say, you heard those songs for the first time, whatever they were, Hot in the City, or the big Billy Idol hits, and there are so many of them. I got the same sense about a couple of the tracks on the new album. What do I know? I'm not Billy Idol, right? I'm not a musician. But People I Love, which is track 6 on the album, which I know you love.
Yeah, I really do like that.
I mean, you like all of them because you wouldn't have put them on the album. 77 featuring Avril Lavigne. Give Me the Weight. I mean, to be honest, they're all great songs. And I'm not just saying it because you're here. I just think this album's so good because it is honest. And when artists who are older try and write young, it doesn't work. It can be pretty embarrassing. But when you honestly, you talk to your mum like you said now, you just said on the air, and you talk about 1977 and the King's Road. I can't wait to see this documentary if it's like this. Tell us about 1977. Tell us about the King's Road. Tell us about where you went and who you met for the first time and what influences those people had on you.
Well, yeah, the great thing was there were so many other people of our age trying a similar thing, but we never thought it was going to explode. I mean, we didn't, because we were following this tiny little scene in America, CBGB's, what was happening really there. And then the Pistols went on this program, the Grundy show, and it exploded in England, punk rock. And and then so we were doing this thing we loved, really. And then, look, by doing the thing which you never thought was going to go big, by doing the thing you love, you kind of get paid back, and that's kind of what's been going on ever since. Really, I just followed along, then just doing what I loved, really doing what I dreamed into things. I dreamed into seeing, say, like listening to the Beatles when I was a little kid, and then later on Velvet Underground, and then later on the Pistols, and just dreamed into it and went with it. And that's kind of what the album's about, what my life's been about.
And was it liberating to write these lyrics? Because it's all out there. You've held nothing back. Yeah,
it was great. Those days in 77, it was fantastic. There was an element of, we were sort of fighting against the authorities we just felt were sort of being overbearing, and so that's what that's about. And then Too Much Fun is kind of me going to America and overdoing everything a little bit, but having a ton of success and enjoying it, and then gradually sort of sorting myself out. And then People I Love is kind of a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek song about, I should be sorry about all the crazy things I did, but I'm not really. I mean, it was part of the course back then.
Where did Generation X, your band, where did they fit into the Sex Pistols time? Tell us how you met, why you call yourself Generation X, because you're not, are you? You're just slightly before.
We're boomers, yeah. But I think back then where people, it was a sociology book, this book Generation X, and he was talking about the late 50s into the 60s, those people, which was us, being Generation X. I don't know if since then they've moved.
They sort of changed it around, which is a bit confusing.
Because this was an English sociology book that it was all about sort of Blue Beat and the youth cultures of the day, and that's what we were thinking of. We were looking for anthems for our generation. The Pistols were writing anthems for our generation with Pretty Vacant and Anarchy and The Clash with, London's Burning, and that's what we were doing with songs like Kiss Me Deadly and things.
And so just remind us how you make the hop from Great Britain as a member of a band to a solo artist in the States.
Well, then I did start to Back in the day, just as much as I listened to punk rock music, I also listened to a lot of disco music, and I started to think about putting the two things together, and that's where the Dancing with Myself and the kind of Billy Idol sound started to come from, where I kind of started to morph out of punk rock into sort of more dance music and different rhythms. And we'd grown up with eclectic music too. That's with all the music of the 60s and 70s, even the Velvet Underground. If you think about it, they didn't just do one thing. The Grey album is practically acoustic, and so they weren't just a jam band or something. So a lot of the music, or David Bowie, look at what he did. Didn't just stay in one lane. And so we grew up with that, and I think that's what I was doing in my solo career. I was expanding what I could do with Steve Stevens, my guitar player. He could do anything I wanted to do, he could nail it. So it gave me this. And then Keith Forsey, coming from the Giorgio Moroder world, he's English, but he was working with Giorgio, and I think we're just bringing all those things together. It just worked. And
so
it
you
was
just
fun.
explained it. I've never heard you say that before. So it's the three of you then, isn't it? So that, and it explains it perfectly, because there's music either side of Billy Idol songs, and there's that 80s sound either side of Billy Idol songs. So you can go harder one way, you can go softer another way. But your music is the North Star. And I'm not blowing smoke where the sun don't shine. It's just a fact. And when you explain it, the disco meets punk, meets amazing 80s production and all the new technology that was coming in.
That's right. We weren't shying away from that. We were using, drum machines and, to even just write the songs or something. But then we used a real drummer when we finalised things. And then later on, we were using a lot of technology and stuff with Whiplash Smile. We were sort of trying things that were a little bit so far ahead of what should have been going on that it would take 2 days to do a bass line and things with some of this equipment when the Whiplash Smile album. So we were experimenting as we went, but and working with people like Gary Langham, The Art of Noise, who would work with Trevor Horn and stuff, who I worked with later on the last album. So a lot of we were experimenting as we went. I wasn't frightened to do it, but at the same time looking for this kind of classic sound that we'd sort of grown up with, and a vibe. There's a feeling, you get a warmth that you're trying to put across. There's a warmth in my personality. I'm not a cold person, I'm a warm person. You're
right again about the music, because the songs, they're edgy but they're not sharp. Do you know what I mean? They don't hurt.
Great.
It's becoming clearer and clearer the more I talk to you. You told that very funny story on Jimmy Kimmel's show about the leather, your first ever pair of leather trousers. So when did the music meet the leather, man? Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, I actually always wore leather pants in Generation X. It's one of our dreams, was like having a cool pair of leather pants. It's funny, isn't it? When you're young, the things that you aspire to. It's like, man, all I really want in life
were they?
is a pair of leather pants, and then wear them to death. But yeah, on that tour, you had a certain outfit that only really had one pair of pants, so they were getting really smelly. And then in the road case, they kind of solidify at night. So when putting them on, it was like a nightmare. You get them up to your calves and wait a little bit, get them up above your knees, wait a bit more, and then the smell of them, because they're coming alive, was like repulsive. And then finally I got a second pair of pants, but for a while there it was. And also the glove, we would wear those fingerless gloves, that would solidify in the road case, and you'd have to, and it stank too. And Steve Stevens would have to tell me, Billy, don't put, because I'd always put my arm around him with my hand near his face. And even to today, I still put my hand straight out, even though I don't wear a leather glove, because I've still, he was traumatized by the stench of that glove. Smell the glove,
I bet you can still smell it today, can't you, if he closes his eyes? It's so funny because you had to warm up the trousers, and they were rock and roll reluctant the next day, going, not again, give us a day off. It's all right for you, you're getting paid. We're just leather trousers, we're not getting paid. And then it's funny, isn't it? Because as you get older, that's how you feel. That's how I feel like. We didn't have to warm our own bones and skin and bones up then, but we had to warm the leather trousers, and then you finally get a second pair. Did that literally smell like success?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And that was a look, wasn't it? That really was the look.
Yeah, it's a lot about that sort of stuff, leather and everything back then. Yeah, it was fun.
And you were ripped. I mean, you know, a lot of the footage, it's you leather trousers, waist down, and naked waist up. You were ripped. Did you work out? Was that just youth on your side, or because you were partying hard? But I know that a lot of people who party hard also looked after themselves so they could party hard.
Well, we were doing 5 shows a week sometimes, so you know
that was enough.
That keeps you trim, let alone not eating too much. But later on, when I moved to Los Angeles in '87, I started to work out because I was going to ride Harley Davidson motorcycles, and they're very heavy, and you have to be able to lift them up. So I was just this little skinny drug addict, so I started to work out and stuff. And I also, too, I just thought it would help me, and it did help me. It helped me to be here today, because I, you know, kind of kept my energy up and everything by working out and things. So I was always putting back in, even if at times I was taking out. I was always putting back in.
You were never in the red as far as the bank account was concerned. Well, maybe, but you worked it off the next day or the next month. And you say that you went crazy for all the, you're hedonistic, you know, you're a normal kid, you do really well, you're in Los Angeles, you're one of the most famous people on the planet. You still are one of the most famous people on the planet. You're so recognisable. You are your own brand. You are your own slogan. You are your own Nike swoosh because you look like the brand because you are, which is all, I mean, it's great unless you want to nip out for a loaf, I would imagine. And you have said that you would just you owned that all the time. You never shied away from it.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially punk rock was a bit like that. You had to live it 24/7, and so that's a little bit where we carried on. Even though when I was doing my solo career, I carried on with that attitude, you know, as part of it. Also, we were just very committed to the whole idea. You kind of had to be, or you weren't going to get anywhere or carry on. You had to be really committed.
Yeah, so 99% was like 1% because people would smell it if there was a bit missing. Is that right?
Yeah, you had to be really committed.
And so when you said, you know, then you got yourself back on the rails again, you had all the literally all the fun. Here we go, track 3, too much fun, which is the right amount, even though it's too much. Yeah. So what? Tell us a bit about that. When was that? How has it been since then? Because you've carried on playing live. People still love you everywhere. Like this show, you know, Billy Idol's possibility of a Billy Idol interview. Yes. All the big shows in America still, and it will always be like that. So can you just give us sort of the headlines of 1989 to present day?
Yeah, well, too much fun. I was kind of living my dream, really. And of course, you go a little bit over the top when you finally get that kind of freedom to do what you want. But
get a smile on your face.
You know, it was a lot of fun. I mean, that was the thing. We were living our dream, really. That was the thing. You know, people were allowing you to live your dream, which was kind of incredible because most people don't get to live their dream, and that's kind of what I've been doing my whole life. It's been great, and I got paid back by doing the thing I love. That's what's been incredible, you know. I mean, and you didn't know how it was all going to pan out when you're starting out, but yeah, I think we did it for the right reasons in the first place, and that's led me to this album, to this documentary, to this world I'm in right now.
Billy Idol should be dead.
Yeah,
Billy Idol. What a great title for a documentary. Warts and All documentary.
It is a warts and all documentary. Yeah, and I've made mistakes, but you got to own that just as much. I've got to own this time now, you know, and that's part of it.
Yeah. Where are we going to see the documentary? Is it going to be?
I don't know exactly yet. We're still working to see who'd want to put it out.
Okay, who wouldn't want to put it out? I mean, that's the thing. It's got to be a Netflix or Apple or Amazon, you know, deal. I can't wait for it. But if you can get me a secret, I'll just bang on about how good it is because I know it's going to be great because I know what you like.
Sure, we could.
All right, that's absolutely fantastic. All right, where do we go next? You're a granddad 4. You got 4 grandkids?
Yes, I do. Yes,
okay, I got 2. I'm catching you up. How's it been for you?
It's been fantastic, and I see that's the reason you have children, for the grandchildren, because they're such good fun, you know.
Don't tell the kids that.
No.
And how is it for them having Billy Idol as a granddad? Because I've seen you in pics. I've seen you sort of more Civvy Street clothing with the grandkids, and I've seen you in the full-on Billy Idol, 100% top to toe. What's that like? How is it having granddad Idol in the family?
Well, it's fantastic. I mean, they don't know too many other people, so you are really a big figure in their lives, and The great thing is, that's what I'm Your Hero is kind of about on the album. It's really about the fact that they kind of make, they're so happy to be alive. And you see everything that's happening to them as a first. And they also accept you for who you are. They don't know too many other people. So that's kind of what I'm Your Hero is about, that through them I'm feeling reborn, and that's partly maybe why there's this kind of energy on the album.
Just tell us about the title Dream Into It, which is the title of the album and the title of the first track.
Well, it really is a story. That song in my life is the sort of story of my life. In fact, there's a kind of orchestral version we did for the documentary, which ends the documentary, and it really is about all the facets of my life. And because that's what I kind of did. Like I say, I saw certain groups when I was very young, because I really fell into love with rock and roll when I was 7 years old, and I started to dream about being in a rock and roll band.
Did you have posters on your wall?
Yeah, well, I had I had Beatle records, and this teenage friend who used to give me Rave magazine. I used to read that, and of course all the stuff on the television, Ready Steady Go or Top of the Pops, whatever. Just watched everybody and dreamt into it, and that's kind of what I've done my whole life. Whatever it was, whatever the thing I loved, I sort of dreamt into it and made part of it my own, I think, and then eventually it all rang true.
It's funny, isn't it? Because the title and the phrase "dream into it" is one thing, and of course, without your dreams, without dreaming them in the first place, you never have a chance to realise them. But of course, when you then do realise them, sometimes you have to do the opposite, which is pinch yourself because you think you're in a dream. Yeah. Tell us about some of those moments, who you've rubbed shoulders with, where you've been when you've met these people who you admire, whether they were contemporaries of yours or peers of yours or heroes of yours. Tell us about some of those moments over the years.
Well, it's great meeting people like David Bowie. I met him a couple of times and hang out with him a little bit.
When you say hang out with him, tell us about that?
Well, it was really just in some clubs and stuff. I know a lot of it. I didn't ever play with him or anything, but he was always really great and fantastic to me. And
in what way was he fantastic to you?
Well, he really cared about music. He actually was taking notes at one of my concerts. He'd kind of say to me, this is what he's kind of like that. I suppose he thought like a producer at times, so what you should be doing. So
he was disarmingly normal in real life, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's good fun. I mean, he always seemed in a good mood.
Yeah, he once phoned me up after a radio show.
I see.
Out of nowhere, because he heard about something that was going on, and he just phoned up to see if I was all right.
Fantastic.
And I didn't even know the guy.
Also, Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey of The Who, they've always really Bill Kerbishley, their manager, they've always really looked out for me.
Are you with Bill from a live point of view?
No, not. But they've always looked out for me too. So there's always been these people...
legends.
Yeah, that I've sort of connected with a little bit, and... It's been fantastic, and just to know there's people like that looking out for you,
When legends have got your back,
it's great,
I mean, that is off the chain, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've done similar, and you've invited people onto the new album. Avril Lavigne, this track 77, it's so good. Alison Mossart, John Wayne, fantastic song, and of course your old locker room mate Joan Jet, who you've known forever, haven't you?
Yes, I met her after a Germs and Dead Kennedys concert in LA at the Whiskey A Go Go. She just produced the Germs, and then we hung out together. It was me, her, and 21 other girls, and they were spanking each other, so it was rather wonderful.
What year was that?
1978.
Whiskey A Go Go.
Yeah,
Sunset
I was there on
Strip.
the Generation X. I was on a promotional tour for the Generation X first album. I went to New York, San Francisco, and LA, and that's where I met Joan, and we hung out.
And that was pre the big hits, pre the monsters.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you are touring again, and it's a world tour, and you are on it, and you start soon in Berlin. How are you feeling about it? How is touring now? What's the show like? Give us some of that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm 69 years old.
You're not 60. Shut up.
So you do have to sort of think about where do I want to pass on my energy. But as long as you do that, as long as you think about it, you can do anything you want, and you just have to.
Me, I did not know you were 69. Yeah. That is off. That is ridiculous.
You just have to parcel out your energy, and that'll be fine. So I just sort of these days with the show, and that's all I really do. I'm just thinking about the show, and everything builds up to and away from the show these days. You know?
Wow. And obviously all the hits are in there.
We play about 5 new numbers as well. You know,
from the new album.
Yeah.
That's great, mate. That's great. I can't wait for this documentary. I can't wait. I love a great music documentary. Have you seen the Robbie Williams documentary?
No, I didn't see that yet.
It's really good.
Oh,
it's
fantastic.
Really good. All the highs and the lows and everything else that's going on with him. And also because he's on his own, because you're on your own. You got your mates around. Of course you have. You're producing. You got these legends watching your back. But it is different, isn't it? So I talked to Bono about this once. The fact that he was in a band with his brothers. Literally a band of brothers. So if one of them were having an off day, week, month, or year, which we all have, you're in a band with and your mates will say, don't worry, we got this. But you're Billy Idol, aren't you? Robbie's Robbie. It's different, isn't it?
Well, I do have Steve Stevens. I mean, he's a big part of what we do, and we do go after a band sound. That's what we went for on this record, that it would have, even though it's a solo artist, it's a band sound.
Right.
And it's me singing with a 3-piece, most of it. It's me.
So you're more solo in name only, really, because Steve has always been there.
Yeah.
Right, fair enough.
So we've got kind of best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds, isn't it? That's what the next album should be called, Best of Both, man. And you are the two. I could talk to you all morning. Is there anything else you want to say, Billy?
Just it's fantastic to be back in the UK, and I'm just really excited about playing Wembley and Milton Keynes. It's going to be great,
Yeah, God, you have got the most beautiful British accent. It's soft, but it's not a mid-Atlantic. Cause some people. Does it get more Americanized when you're in America? Or you wouldn't know, would you?
Well, I'm trying to hold on to it, so...
It's gorgeous, man. And how does it... you're good to be back here. You're good to play... You have to play Milton Keynes again. This tour goes everywhere, doesn't it? It goes over to Germany, and then it comes here, and then it goes back to America again. You play Madison Square Gardens, aren't you?
Yeah, we are in the Forum in Los Angeles, so yes, we're back in arenas. It's kind of exciting.
Wow, very, very exciting. I'm so pleased for you. BillyIdol.net if you want to try and grab some tickets, if there's any available for anywhere on the planet. Where are you playing in August? I'm in LA in August. Can I come and see you in August, please?
Yes, fantastic.
Can you get me
September in LA. It's August the 20th at Madison Square Gardens.
All right, mate. Great to see you, Billy. Great. Congratulations on the new album. It's really, really good.
Thank you, Chris. Great to see you.
Great to see you, mate.
Thank you, everybody.
Can we hit it for Billy Idol, please? Here we go. Dream into it. Can't wait for the documentary. Billy Idol should be dead, but guess what? He's not.
Yeah. Thank God.